Have you ever noticed that some people seem calm, even during stressful moments? They don't post emotional breakdowns online. They don't reveal every detail of their lives. And somehow, they appear more peaceful. In Japan, this behavior is incredibly common. Japanese culture teaches something very different from modern internet culture. While the world encourages people to constantly share their thoughts, emotions, and opinions, Japanese society quietly values restraint. But this isn't about being cold or emotionless. In fact, there's a deeper psychological reason behind it. And once you understand it, you may start seeing silence very differently. Today, people share almost everything. What they ate, who hurt them, their arguments, their anxiety, even their loneliness. Social media rewards emotional exposure. The more dramatic something is, the more attention it gets. And slowly, many people begin treating the internet like emotional therapy. But here's the problem. Constant oversharing can quietly damage mental peace. Because when every emotion is immediately released to the world, people stop learning how to process feelings privately. And this is where Japanese culture becomes fascinating. In Japan, emotional control is often seen as a form of maturity, not because emotions are bad, but because emotions are powerful, and powerful things should be handled carefully. Japan has an interesting social idea. Honne means your true feelings. Tatemae means the version of yourself you show publicly. To many outsiders, this sounds fake. But in Japanese culture, it's often considered respectful. Why? Because not every feeling needs to be placed onto other people. Imagine having a terrible day. In many countries, someone might immediately complain loudly, post online, or emotionally unload onto others. But in Japan, people are more likely to pause first. They ask themselves, will sharing this help anyone? Will it create discomfort? Is this the right place? That pause creates emotional discipline. And over time, emotional discipline creates emotional stability. In many modern cultures, loud people are often seen as confident. But in Japan, silence can actually signal strength. There's a famous idea in Japanese culture. The empty drum makes the loudest noise. In other words, people who constantly need attention are often the least secure. Meanwhile, calm people don't feel the need to prove themselves every second. This is one reason Japanese communication often feels quieter. People listen carefully, interrupt less, and think before speaking. Because words carry weight, and once spoken, they can't be taken back. Psychologists have found that constantly seeking validation from others can increase anxiety. When people post emotional struggles online, they often begin depending on reactions for comfort. Likes become reassurance. Comments become emotional support. Attention becomes temporary relief. But temporary relief isn't real healing. And Japanese culture tends to avoid this cycle. Instead of immediately expressing every emotion publicly, people often process emotions internally first. This creates something powerful: emotional independence, the ability to sit with feelings without needing the entire world to react. And ironically, people who overshare less often appear calmer because they aren't emotionally dependent on constant external validation. Another reason Japanese people avoid oversharing is simple. Privacy is deeply respected. Many people in Japan believe some parts of life should remain personal. Relationships, family issues, pain, dreams. Not because they're ashamed, but because personal things feel more meaningful when protected. Think about it. The internet has created a world where people sometimes share intimate moments with strangers while barely speaking deeply with family. But Japanese culture often values smaller, quieter circles. Close friendships, private conversations, subtle emotional support. And maybe that's why many Japanese interactions feel calmer. Not every thought becomes public noise. Japan is a society that strongly values harmony. Causing emotional tension in public is often avoided whenever possible. This doesn't mean people never struggle. Of course they do. But many people are taught from childhood to consider the emotional atmosphere around them. This creates a habit called emotional awareness. For example, if someone is angry, they may express it indirectly instead of exploding publicly. If someone is sad, they may avoid making others feel uncomfortable. To some outsiders, this can seem emotionally distant. But to many Japanese people, it's actually kindness, because self-control is viewed as consideration for others. Interestingly, younger generations in Japan are slowly changing too. Social media has increased emotional sharing everywhere. But even today, Japan remains more private than many countries online. Anonymous accounts are extremely popular there. Many people prefer expressing thoughts without attaching their real identity. That says something important. People still value separation between their inner world and public image. And maybe there's wisdom in that, because not every emotion needs an audience. Sometimes healing happens quietly. This doesn't mean emotions should be hidden forever. Healthy communication matters. Vulnerability matters. But modern culture sometimes confuses constant exposure with emotional health. They are not the same thing. Japanese culture reminds us of balance. You can be emotionally honest without revealing everything. You can be authentic without broadcasting every feeling. You can struggle privately and still heal deeply. And perhaps the most powerful lesson is this: peace often grows in protected spaces. Not every emotion needs immediate attention. Not every thought deserves public reaction. And not every silence is emptiness. Sometimes silence is wisdom. In a world where everyone is constantly speaking, Japanese culture quietly teaches the value of restraint. Not because feelings don't matter, but because feelings matter enough to handle carefully. And maybe real emotional strength isn't about expressing everything instantly. Maybe it's about understanding which emotions deserve silence, which deserve time, and which deserve protection. Because sometimes, the calmest people are carrying the deepest understanding of themselves. And maybe that's why silence can feel so powerful.